Hello and welcome to my channel. I wanted to take a moment and give some feedback about a interview that rocked a certain part of the internet. I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I think it was yesterday morning at like 9 or 10 a.m., something like that. The interview with Tyler from Love is Blind and the Dear Future Wifey podcast dropped. And there was quite the reaction to it. And I wanted to talk about it because I did not have the reaction to it that I thought I was going to have. I'll say it like this. I went into the interview very disgusted. And I came out of the interview still disgusted, but just with a little bit more insight into the person and the people that I was disgusted with. And so I want to talk about that process for a little bit. Because I do think that if you watch the show Love is Blind this season, you will agree that this season it went from cute, fun show about people finding love in a silly little situation to full on like psychological warfare. Like this season it was like watching Saw or something, or just like a really violent horror film before the heart. I mean, from Marissa's breakdown when Ramses broke up with her to the way Hannah was talking to Nick. And I say that as somebody who initially was like, oh, she's just giving him a little bit of tough love. But by the time we got to the episode where he was introduced to her friends, I was just, again, I mean, I said in one of my response videos, I said, does he have a humiliation kink? Because there's no reason he should stay here and listen to this. This is not a person that'll be a good wife to him. This is not somebody that would even be a good friend to him. She's not good for him. They need to end this. And I was very impressed with her with saying, hey, I don't want to marry you. Like, this is not what I want. Because I think he would have gone on with it to the end because I think he wanted to win the game. That's how he was looking at it. He wanted to win. He wanted the big Love is Blind influencer dollars. And so he would have gone on with marrying this woman that he secretly thought was a grenade while looking for a way out. You know, does she have any hotter friends? Is there another Katie out there? Right? That's how I thought about Nick. But I did hate the way that she spoke to him specifically, especially when it just seemed like she should have just let this go. And I didn't start off feeling that way about her, and you guys know it. But as the show went on, especially at the reunion, I was like, when are you going to give it a rest? And it's so funny because I went from saying, I kind of like Hannah. Yeah, I mean, she's all right. I don't think she's irredeemable to she's the only cast member that I have blocked online. Like, I don't want to see any more of you. So we had that. And then we had the whole situation with Tyler and Ashley. And I think as a woman who has dated, period, and run into some very toxic situations, and then as a Black woman, it was their whole relationship, their whole whatever was so deeply triggering. And honestly, I don't think that it was it at a certain point. I was just watching because I wanted to see, how everything wrapped up. But there were a lot of people who said they didn't even watch the weddings because it wasn't fun anymore. This season became a bloodbath. Like, and the thing is what was going on camera, on screen, what we were getting with those episodes wasn't even the true story. It wasn't even the whole thing. Netflix wasn't even really showing us the reality because they had hired this person. And I think whether it was by law or by their own in-house ethics, they were driven to protect him. Laterras, the host of the Dear Future Wifey podcast, said that Netflix reached out to him and asked him to interview Tyler. And the reason that they did that is because they wanted Tyler in a space where he would feel safe, where he would feel protected, and he would feel okay to finally speak up and tell his side of the story, even though nobody really wanted that. Nobody really wanted that. And I'm going to say this. I think if Ashley wasn't on her Olivia Pope PR tour, and they both just kind of went quiet and silent on socials, that's the only way that this will finally blow over. And I think that Tyler would be fine with doing that, but I think Ashley really wanted that influencer bag too. And you could tell because whenever all of this was going down, instead of telling us what was really happening and being like, hey, girl, are you all right? Tyler got 3 kids. He ain't tell you in the pods. You still gonna marry him? What's up? Instead of her saying anything, which she couldn't, contractually she couldn't, this girl was online talking about, I'm going to go through what's in my bag. Do you guys want to know? So it's in my LTK. I've linked it. Here are the beauty products I'm using. This girl was making Halloween TikToks. This girl, and by Halloween, I think that the show had already aired, or the weekend before they were celebrating. This girl was talking about some using voiceovers on TikTok where she was like, I ain't one of them ones, or maybe that was after. I don't know, but Ashley was trying to be an influencer, posting her details, and she was getting the followers. But I don't think people were following her. One thing you have to learn when you do social media is people don't always follow you because they love you. Sometimes they follow you because they want to hate watch and they want to monitor your page. There's so many people who say, I'm quitting Instagram because of monitoring spirits. Monitoring spirits are all over social media. People will say, oh, I love to hate watch this one girl. I found out, y'all. And I'm not going to say too much. But there are websites that people will go to where they can watch your social media content. And if you have it monetized, the websites show it to them without the creator getting any money from it. Of course, they're not legal. And I'm not going to say what I know. But I know what I done seen. People bragging about, oh, God, I hate her so much. So I watch her content over here. And that way she doesn't get any money from it. Hate watching, monitoring spirits, that shit is all real. And so if you're looking in your comment section and people are tearing you apart and yet your follower numbers are going up, what's not clicking? People aren't there because they want to support you and they love you. They're there because they hate you. And that's something that's hard to understand if you've never been in that position before. And it's so clear with Ashley that she's never been there before. And she's doing a job of trying to navigate it. But anyway, let's go back. Let's go back to this interview. Let's go back to the season. I decided to watch this interview because, like I said, this season stops being a cute little love experiment. My first season with Love is Blind was season 4. I couldn't understand why people were so excited about it at the time. And, someone told me, well, this is the season with the most marriages. And I was like, oh, so people don't usually get married? They were like, no. People say no at the altar. People don't make it out of the pods. Like, this was a really good season. That was my introduction to Love is Blind. And it was also my introduction to how social media responded when they felt like somebody was a mean girl or a bad person on the show. Women, and in the seasons that I've watched, women always get it worse. They always get it worse than any man. We talked about Trevor in the Charlotte season. We talked about Trevor for all of 30 seconds. Trevor had a girlfriend the whole time. Oh, we talked about it. We dropped it. Sarah Ann, people dragged her, including me. I'm people. But she wouldn't shut up. I think that makes a difference. Like, if you messed up, shut up, But I still think that women get it worse. I remember season 4 with Irina and Micah. I was like, damn, y'all really coming for them. Especially, I could understand, when they were in the pods and they thought it was funny when someone was crying. That was shitty behavior. But when she got out of the pods and she saw Zach for the first time and they went to Mexico and they did not like each other, I was like, it is what it is. They called it off. Like, neither one of them liked each other. What's the deal? That girl's Instagram comments, she tried to have a TikTok. People weren't having it. Season 4 was my first introduction into the price you pay for being a jackass on reality TV. I thought it was bad for social media influencers. Like, if you mess up, if you say the wrong thing, you share a story time people don't like, you do whatever, blah, blah, blah. But with this, oh man, people sending death threats in your comments, they're doing, and it's on a national and international scale. And for some reason, Love is Blind really triggers people. And again, I'm people. I don't watch no other reality shows but this. So since I started watching, I've seen both sides. I've seen seasons end up really great and people end up with somebody that they love and they're still together to this day. Them season 4 couples are still together. Bliss and Zach have a baby. Or I've seen what happens when somebody fucks up and people are upset and they're mad. And I think this season, when it comes to that element, this was the worst. First of all, we only got 2 weddings. We only got Tyler, Ashley, and I forgot the other 2, Garrett and Taylor. Those are the only weddings we got. Out of those 2 weddings, we could only be happy for one couple, Garrett and Taylor, because Tyler and Ashley, their whole story is it's straight up out of a Tyler Perry movie. Like, literally, it is something that Quan Mills would write, if you know who Quan Mills is. Like, it is a BET, I don't know. It is Black struggle love mess on the surface. So, like, what we've seen. And I'm sure they do love each other. And I'm sure, but damn, this is not what any of us signed up for when we chose to watch this show. So I wanted to see this interview because this season was so traumatizing as a viewer. And then, of course, we have the other side of it, right? The other side of this season. It wasn't just what was happening on screen. It wasn't just the official interviews that the cast members were giving, after the episodes would come out. So, like, Hannah's talking to Cosmo about what it means to be a strong woman. And that's before they saw. It's so funny. They will interview them based on one episode, and then another one will come out, and I'd be thinking that they probably want to take that back, huh? I felt that way about Marissa, because I know with me, I was like, maybe I want to take some of these words back, but I'm gonna keep them up. But I know Marissa, she was like, Ramses made me feel like I was crazy. He wouldn't give me an answer. And everybody was like, Ramses, why would you do? And then we saw her at the reunion, and we were like, we sorry, Ramses. She might be okay, I see. And I think people definitely felt like he had a right to say, I don't think I could be comfortable with you long term. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of people who have been rejected because they're too much or they're not enough, I think that it really triggered us, but we don't know the situation. And that's one of the really bad parts about participating in this kind of thing. We're triggered by the storyline that we get, but we don't know all the ins and outs of the situation. And so, like I said, they would have these official interviews that would come out, and then they would have the social media investigators. And then you had, out of all of that, out of all the people that do content about this show and share with their watchers and viewers and subscribers their feelings about these characters and what they're going through, 2 women arose like phoenixes from the ashes of season 7. And that was Jessie Woo and Storytime with Ricky. And I want to say, for Storytime with Ricky, I've been watching her since season 4. And so there was one season that I talked about where I was like, okay, guys, these are the people that get married. It was Lydia, Milton, Uche, all them. I said, so we already know Stacey and Lydia get married. Don't nobody else get married. And people got so mad. And I was like, why don't y'all already know this? Y'all aren't watching Ricky? What's going on? And no, nobody was. I think the majority of people weren't really tied in like that, or people like to know, or they like to save surprise for the end. And I get that now. But at the time I was like, Ricky be giving all the tea. She knows everything from the very beginning. She may not know everything, but she knows in general somebody giving her some kind of information. Somebody is sliding her, here's what happens at the reunion. Here's who gets married. And in this season with Tyler, from the beginning, she was getting information about what happened with his kids and the fact that he had kids. She was getting information about the money that he owed women. She was getting information about his child support case. Ricky was coming with all the receipts. And when she teamed up with Jessie Woo and the size of her platform, I think Netflix had a formidable opponent when it came to trying to protect its cast members. And these were cast members that were actively traumatizing an audience by being just very, very sleazy people, being the kind of people that you can't really root for. It's very hard to root for Tyler. I don't know of anybody who is rooting. I might see it in the comments sometimes, because I looked at the comment section of the Dear Future Wifey podcast, because Laterras kept saying, leave a comment. And, while I was watching it, I kept thinking, you don't want these comments, bro. Stop telling people to leave these comments. Like, you don't want any more of these comments. I did feel bad when he was like, it's their anniversary. Tell them happy anniversary and God loves you. And I'm thinking, they ain't gonna say that, man. They don't care about these people's anniversary, man. I even wrote that in my notes. Don't nobody care about this anniversary. Don't tell these people, man, that's not what you want. But I would look at the comments, and let's say for every 100 comments, there's one person who's like, I'm still rooting for you, Ashley and Tyler. But for the most part, it's very hard to root for a man who has done the things that this man has done, even if they are in his past. And I think you're not wrong for not rooting for him. Like, honestly, in the other seasons, when people were pissed at Irina, I was like, y'all, come on. She just didn't like him. Like, this show is very unserious in the beginning. You know, I mean, it's cool, it's fine. Like, I don't even think she was that rude to him. They broke up. It's not a big deal. With who else? With even with Jackie and Marshall, I was like, okay. And the whole cast back then too, with season 4 was like, chill on Jackie, you guys. You're really intense. She just did not like Marshall. Like, Marshall's not the one for her. They were doing a lot of arguing. We didn't see off camera. Like, it's cool. We can chill. Most of the time, that's my attitude. With this season, I just couldn't find that energy. I was irate. And when I would see Ashley on like the Vile Files, or hell, what else did she do? Really, any interview she was on where she was talking about the situation, talking her head off, throwing her hands around, the I was like, girl, can't you hear how you sound? He doesn't need to be with those kids. He doesn't want to be with that. The twins make things worse. Just, ooh. Especially when we had Ricky interviewing the children's grandmother, Bri Thomas, the children's mother, Bri's ex-wife. I don't remember if her name is Deshawn or Deshauna, but we have other narratives out there, and there's evidence to corroborate these narratives. So I'm looking at Ashley, I'm like, girl, what are you even talking about? Every time I saw them, whether it was at the reunion, anytime after the show has finished airing, and Ashley's been fighting this battle for this man, I've just been in agony, okay? And I just swipe up, I swipe up, I scroll up. I never watched her Vile Files. I didn't watch when she was with Raven Simone and whatever. I did watch when she came out and made a speech about how she wasn't pregnant on TikTok because she did something on her stomach when they went and saw a football game. Everybody's been on bump watch for Ashley. And let me say this, she's absolutely the boss in that relationship, and I got that sense from her from the beginning. I don't know how to explain it, but her energy gives more dominant, and I don't even mean in like a misogynistic or a sexist kind of, she's masculine. That's not what I mean. But I just mean Tyler seems like the type of person that is blown any which way. You sneeze too hard and you'll blow him into another woman and he'll try and have a baby with her. You know what I'm saying? But Ashley seems deeply principled and very focused on what her timeline is going to be. And no man was going to get her pregnant unless it was on her time. Nobody was going to make her do anything she didn't want to do. Some people were like, oh, what if Ashley's already pregnant by him? Well, no way. Ashley seems to me like a perfectionist. I remember when they went to the bridal shop and her family, whenever she got dressed for her wedding, it was either at the bridal shop or on her wedding day. But when she, was standing there in her wedding gown, everyone was like, there she is. There's our princess. And those are the vibes she gives. She gives very kind of like an elitist kind of, somebody said Ashley seems like she's obsessed with exceptionalism, and I didn't know what that was, and I had to go look it up. Ashley wants to be the best. She wants to live out this storyline, and she's not going to do anything to sabotage that. Ain't no baby's going to be coming out of her without serious thought, serious focus, and a secure connection that she feels like she can stand on. That's how I feel about her. Unfortunately, she took all that powerful character, all those good scruples, and she's parked them with this man. And because she's tied in with him, she has spent the last few months of her life fighting for her life on the internet. And it's actually really, really sad to see because she doesn't get it. She doesn't get that you can't take the narrative back at this point. It is what it is. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second, but it's very, very frustrating to see her. And it was frustrating not to see Tyler, to see him not saying nothing. So I wanted to see this interview. I wanted to see him like give his side. And I also want to say that I feel like Laterras does a really good job of when he says he's going to give a safe space, he's going to give a safe space. I watched the first episode ever of him a couple years ago last year when he had Danae Jackson on. And I did a video about it on my channel. But at that point in time, I was really looking at it from a viewpoint of like how the content sphere works and how, people put themselves out there and people consume them. And if they decide they want to keep you, you stay in, you get to keep creating and being consumed and everything's great and growing. But you can also be marked as disposable. Get this out of here. We can't use this. Bye. So then it takes somebody who has a platform, somebody who is still loved, somebody who still has people's respect to, instead of keeping you cast out, to call you back in. And I feel like Laterras is great at that, calling people in, giving them the opportunity to tell their story and to possibly redeem themselves. And so when I saw he was with Tyler, I was disappointed initially. I was like, why are you talking to him? I was almost as disappointed as I was as when he brought on Derek Jackson. And I never watched that because I could not stand any more information about that couple. But with this time, I was curious. I was seeing some sound bites, and I really wanted to know how he would justify anything that we had ever heard. So, like I said earlier, I wanted to give my viewpoints on this, and I'm going to give them real quick. The first thing I want to say is that Tyler was a mess in his 20s. That's what I learned from this. The way he was talking about, and I 100% think that he lied when Laterras asked him about threesomes. Oh, I didn't do no threesomes. I don't know that never happened. Oh, well, I think he lied. I think he lied about that. Just because I've known guys like that. And I'm not saying, just because I've known somebody like that, everybody got to be like that. But I mean, it is what it is. And I love, Laterras was like, what did he say? He said, I'm trying to figure out how, if you were in the streets, how in the streets were you, Tyler, or something like that. I wrote it down. He's funny. Laterras is funny. He was in a lot of like funny little remarks during this. And that's because I think he was trying to keep it light. But at the same time, as he admitted later on in an interview that he did with Ricky and Jesse, I think I called her Jackie earlier in this video, but y'all know what I mean. No, I said Jesse. I'm going to have to go back and look at it. You know what I mean? He said, I didn't really know a lot about him, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't platforming a liar. So I was really trying to do my best to get the answers I could and also not make him feel like he was getting the third degree. I didn't watch the interview that Jesse and Ricky did with him because at that point I was like, I can't take no more. Because like every day it's like a new Jesse and Ricky have on Tyler's daddy. Now that would be interesting. They could probably get him too. But it just seemed like too much. At a certain point I got to say, okay, I've seen it all. I got it. Y'all got it. Okay. But I did feel like when I watched the little clips I did see that Laterras was really trying to endear himself to Jesse and Ricky because they have done so much work on the other side of this to tell these women's stories that Tyler has apparently done so wrong. So for Laterras to platform him and him to possibly still be lying about these women and this life that he's lived, there was some work that needed to be done there. But anyway, I picked up from the interview that Tyler was a mess in his 20s. So nothing that anybody has said about him surprises me. Tyler, tried to say, I've only dated 3 women seriously. I don't believe you. Maybe in your mind it was only 3 seriously, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women out there who are scorned. They came forward and said, hey, he owes us money. I don't like how he handled that when Laterras said, so what about the money that you supposedly owe people? Anybody can sue anybody for anything. Yeah, people don't walk around just willfully suing anyone. It's just not how it works. If you're the type of person that people are doing that to, you need to examine yourself. Something's not right. The story that he told about the woman in the glasses, I hadn't even heard about these sunglasses, man. I've really tried to block these people out, but they keep popping up. I was like, why didn't you bring them? The whole time Tyler's telling these other stories from his life, I'm thinking, where is your evidence? Because I did watch the interview that I did say Jackie. Yeah, because I'm mixing up Jesse and Ricky. I did watch the interview that Jesse and Ricky did with Bri. Bri had text messages. The biggest text message evidence that she brought that hurt my feelings was when she tried to contact Tyler over and over and over again when he was at the show or when he got let out from the show and ask him questions about the wedding and when is it going to be? Because she thought her and her kids were going to be at his wedding. And so that man didn't answer her for like a year. He lied and said he didn't have his phone on him and, he's trying just to handle this the best way he can. And she's like, handle it the best way we can. What happened? When you went into this, we were friends. I don't understand. And as somebody who has dealt with men before who have an agenda and don't want to tell you what their agenda really is and instead want to make you feel like you're crazy, that deeply hurt me. It deeply hurt me. So when Tyler's telling this other narrative, I'm like, bro, where are your receipts? Show us the sunglasses with "I love you, Tyler" on them, and show us your version of the text messages. He kept saying, things about like Bry's mom. He was like, oh, well, she's this evil woman. Where's the proof? And at one point, Laterras says, yeah, I'm going to ask you to show me something later on. And I don't think he had seen enough of what, other people have brought up or dug up, because I would have asked for more if I was him. Up front, I would have said, when you come in here, if you're going to claim another narrative, be able to corroborate it with your own evidence. That's the bare minimum that you can do. If we're giving you this safe space, show. You want to tell, also show. And I also think that if I was Tyler at this point, I'm not protecting anybody anymore. At this point, I'm not doing that. I'll protect the kids still. And but if I got a problem with the grandma, I'm putting her on blast. This is what she said to me. Hello, put that on the screen. If I can prove that Bri is saying she was struggling and going through all this, and yet she had a woman in the home the whole time, a fiance in the home the whole time, whatever, I'm proving it. Here you go. Here, blur this picture out. Whatever. I got it. I got the evidence. I think for Tyler, one thing that did kind of switch for me when I was watching the interview was he said, I want that family to leave me alone. And a lot of people just assumed he was talking about the kids. But I think what he means is anybody connected to Bri, including her mother and all of her girlfriends and every fiance she has. And this is an interesting topic that I want to bring up, because Bri is a woman, and she's the mom. And at the end of the day, she had these biological children with this man, which we'll talk about that in a second. I don't think people are applying any pressure to her whatsoever as far as what kind of relationship did you really have with him? Mm-hmm. Her ex-wife already said she didn't want him to be the donor because she felt like those two were messing around. So she wasn't surprised at all when the twins came around and they were conceived naturally. And I think Tyler completely lied about that on the podcast as well. She was just my friend. She was just my boy. Tell the truth. But anyway, I think Bri, she was abusive. If she's consistently always in relationships and subbing people in and out and only coming to Tyler when she wants money, or hell, maybe even sex with a man, I don't know. I think when he says, I don't want to be a part of that family, he's talking about that situation with her. And I think through social media, because we don't know his side, his version of events, we say, oh my God, you don't want to be with the kids? How could you not want to be with these kids? And I don't like when he calls the oldest one the son. That boy looks just like him. That really throws me off. But that's what I picked up from this interview too, when he says that he doesn't mean the kids necessarily. He means dealing with Bri and all of her mess. I think she has a lot of mess. And I thought it was really funny too when he said, she said she was so private, and yet she got the kids all on the internet. She got 20,000 Instagram followers, and now she's verified. What happened to private Bri? And I think he was banking on her being really private when he went on this show. I think that a lot of people do that. They think that the person that they have, or their friends, or their family members, well, they'll never tell my secrets. They'll never whatever. And unfortunately, sometimes somebody doesn't even have to tell your secrets for your secrets to still get out that you have with someone. And which brings me to my second point, which is, if you know you have a messy ass life, don't go on no reality show. The audacity that Tyler had to accept the invitation he supposedly received through LinkedIn to try out for this show, it befuddles me. How do you have the history that you have as a man and think, yeah, I can go and Love Is Blind? Like, if nothing else, please get some information about the fans, the Reddit pages, the TikTok investigators. Do not put yourself in that situation if you know what your life is. And Tyler had a messy, messy life. I was laughing because he was like, yeah, I said I'll be a donor, whatever. I'm 27. I'm old. I'll never have my own kids. And I was laughing again because it echoed what I was hearing when I watched the show, which was a lot of 30-year-olds talking about I never thought this was happening. I'm 30 and And I can't believe that this finally happened. It was taking a long time. And it just made me think again, if you're 35 plus and it never happened and people give you a hard time for not being positive and not jumping up and down and not having a great attitude, you're justified. Because you got 27-year-olds running around here thinking they're old as hell and nobody will ever come to them. Okay? So if you're older than that and you haven't, I don't know, driven your car off a bridge, then you're doing great. You're doing great. And if somebody gets upset with you because you're pissed that you're still single and you don't want to be and you're in your 40s or your late 30s or beyond, well, then they can just get over it. Because I think it is perfectly normal for human beings to start asking questions about partnering, mating, reproduction around their 20s. And that's perfectly normal. It's biologically right on time, right? But Tyler was still wild for saying, I'll never have kids. I'm 27. And so I'm just going to donate my sperm to my neighbors that I might be sleeping with. Like, what? What? He's a mess. He was a mess. And what's crazy is that if he was a mess that just stayed off reality TV, it'd be fine. But he didn't. I also picked up from this episode that Ashley is being, or from this interview, that Ashley is in a really tough situation because she's currently being crucified for being the type of woman that the church tells you to be. It reminded me of when I was a younger person, when I was young, like in high school and stuff. And I would go to these Christian camps, and one of them I went to was called KAA, Kids Across America. Anyway, I would go to these camps, and they would teach us these like raps and chants about whatever. And the summer I went, we were talking about being Proverbs 31 women. And so the chant we learned started off with clothed in strength and dignity. Something, who we be, what? P31 ladies, and what we do, we praise the Almighty. Can you guess that this was a camp for urban youth? Yes, it was. I also learned some fun Puerto Rican chants. There were a lot of people there from Chicago. Moving on, my point is that we went through a whole summer learning about being a Proverbs 31 woman and how important that verse was and how, and in the wake of all this, I went back and took a look at that verse because Ashley is really trying to be a wife. She said, I want to be a wife. So she's trying to be a wife to this ridiculous man. And everybody keeps, or Tyler keeps calling out her faith. And she's got this faith and she's got this, whatever. And I think this is an example of how, once again, like being a good package, but at the wrong location. She is so fired up. She's so ingrained with these values. And because of that, she can't see that like this isn't the right location. This isn't it. And me personally, I don't know what I would do in this situation. I'm being honest with you. I made a video talking about this a couple weeks ago, and I said I can kind of see where she's coming from because you find someone, you want to hold on to him. And somebody left me a comment and they said, I think you feel that way because you don't understand. It's better to be single to be. Who don't understand? Who? Do you know how many stupid situations I could have been in? Man, please. There before the grace of God go I. There before the grace of God and my innate sense of entitlement and my absolute inability to tolerate not having exactly what I want. I'm not single because, I never had any choices. Oh, I had some in the past. I ain't got none now. I had them in the past, but they were garbage. And I was not going to permanently park myself at the wrong location. Who don't understand it's better to be single? I think people be forgetting that I'm 40 sometimes. Like, I'm not 25 saying this shit. I'm 40 years old. Anyway, I think Ashley, she is probably that same, like, everything people are insulting her for, she can go back and she can look at Proverbs 31 and she can be like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I went back and looked at the verse, and something that stuck out to me was, you are this great woman for a man that can take his seat with the elders. He got to be a powerful man. He has to be a good man to deserve all of this. And I don't think that she, that's what's not clicking. You doing all this for Tyler, but I don't know that Tyler is worth all of what you bring to the table. That's how I feel. That's how I feel after watching the interview. Another thing I noticed, and this is where I kind of differ from other people that watched it. A lot of people were really mad at Laterras. They were like, you didn't ask the questions. You didn't say this, and you didn't grill him on this. I have noticed since the first season of Love is Blind that if you don't tell somebody that you don't like on this show that they can take a cyanide pill and a short walk, oh no, what is it? A long walk off a short pier. So basically, they can eat poison and jump into shark infested waters, and they better do it today. If you don't say that to them because you don't like something they did on the show or you don't like who they are in real life, then people feel like you didn't hold them accountable. But there were several times in this interview, and after watching people's reactions, I was like, he did hold him accountable. Yes, he did. So, for example, people said he didn't really ask him about those kids. He did say, so these children were conceived naturally. Tyler never said, yes, they were. Tyler didn't answer him, but he did say that. Another moment, and this was a big moment, was when Tyler said, hey, he's talking. He's like, I don't want to be around that family. And Laterras says, I got to stop you right there. There is no situation I would ever have with my child's mother that would keep me from having a relationship with my child. Ever. That is my child. That's just what I would do, but I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure I have a relationship with my child. And then I love how he told him, when you walk out of here, there's something on the wall and it says, let your character outlive their lie. So I don't care what they're saying about me or what they're saying about you. You are those children's father, or I am that. I forget how exactly he worded it, but he let that man know in so many words that I don't care how you feel about Bri. I don't care how you feel about her mama. I don't care. Those are your children, and you have a responsibility to those children, especially if you conceive them naturally. And I also love how he said, there is something deeply wrong with you that I don't have the license to reach to because of the fact that you can look at something you made with your own seed and feel nothing. Like that detachment you have, I can't speak to that because I don't have that. I adopted children and still feel connected to them. And that's how I've always felt about the situation too. Like I was telling a friend when I was first seeing Ashley come out with her interviews and he doesn't even need those kids. And they're not even... I was like, if I fall in love with somebody and I find out you have a baby, and this actually happened to me within the last few years, this has happened to me, but I'm finding out you have a baby, I know you have a child, and you let me see that baby, that's my baby. That's my baby. Don't let him look like the man that I love. Don't let her look like, that's my baby. And then in this situation, you trying to tell me you made this child with a woman who is married to another woman, wants another woman, so she don't even want to be with you. So I don't even have to. Oh, wow. I don't know. I'd be kind of excited. But the biggest thing is that I could never understand somebody just not feeling anything for a kid, period. And maybe that's because I was a public school teacher and every year the kids would go from 7th grade to 8th grade or 8th grade to 9th grade. I would cry. I would need 30 minutes alone in my classroom to just wail because I wasn't going to see them again. So maybe I have attachment issues, okay, with the children. But I deeply love kids that aren't even mine. So I can never understand. Number one, not loving the children of the man that you're with. I don't know. It'd be very hard for me not to feel something for them, especially if I love him. And number two, if you made those kids, not loving them at all, not feeling any connection, what's wrong? And Laterras called that out. He called that out. And the biggest thing he called out, I feel, was when he said, from this day forward, you get to control what this narrative is by your actions. You need to make sure you make the right actions. He also told him, it seems like your heart might have been in the right place, but everything was messy. And if you don't make things clear, if you don't make your intentions clear, then it becomes this. And he also took time to pray over both Ashley and Tyler. When Laterras said, I want this to be a safe space, he meant it. And I caught many times where he called that man out. He didn't, and I don't want to say called him out, where he called him back in by reminding him, a lot of this behavior is unacceptable, and you need to understand that. And I'm so happy that you found Ashley, and I'm so happy but you need to follow your responsibilities. And I'm just going to tell you what I've done from my life. He shared with him the story about what he did with his child's mother, how he put himself on child support. He gave him an example of what a good father looks like. He may have not held him accountable the way that women might, right? You suck. You're a jerk. You're a liar. But he held him accountable the way an older male figure who's trying to get him to see how he's messing up might do it. I don't know. I liked how he handled Tyler, and I feel like Tyler did need, if he's ever going to make a change, he does need that kind of a hand and not what I would do or what another woman might do. And to that, I want to say two things. The first thing is Tyler was like, I don't know why all the women hate Ashley and why people are tearing down Black love. I think that he needs to be FFR about that. Or maybe he's never heard of respectability politics. I know Ashley has, because she's obsessed with marriage and things being, just so. She's the princess, right? In the Black community, we love and we platform, and I say we, I don't know if I do it, maybe a little bit, I don't know, I do it. In the Black community, we love and we platform those of us who seem to get it right. We love couples who work out well. Brett and Tiff, Lauren and Cameron. Oh my God, we love these people. We talk about them for years on end. There is nothing that will turn a Black audience away quicker than something that seems like an embarrassment. And I want to speak specifically about Black women. And I can say this because of my own experiences being online and being open and honest with my life and whatever. There is nothing that will turn away Black female audiences quicker than a woman who seems complicit in her own struggle love scenarios. I remember back in my storytime days when I was big on sharing, whatever here on YouTube. There was a story I told, and I'm not going to go into detail, but there was a story I told, and I could feel the tide shift. Before I told that story, people were like, oh my God, I love your videos. I was getting like 60, 70,000 views on each video. I mean, I still did pretty well after I told the story, but it was a different kind. It was that hate watching. It was that monitoring spirit kind. That was in there then. Before that, I think there was a lot more support. But anyway, and this is why I say it. I told that story, and I thought I was just sharing another messy story. Live and let live, right, ladies? I share the story. I leave the story alone. I get a DM and it says, hey, are you okay? Those comments are a little tough, and I just want you to know, like, we all make mistakes, and I just, don't let them get to you. I was like, something's wrong with the comments? And I went and I looked, and my comment section looked like something you'd find under an Instagram post of Tyler or Ashley. Just, you're a failure, you're a loser, you don't want to learn, you don't want to grow, you don't want to change. Why do you keep bringing this stuff on yourself? You did this to yourself. You have this psychological disorder. This is what's wrong with you. Red flag, red flag, red flag. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought we were all having a good time here. Something has changed. And I even saw later on, written in sneaky little places, people talking about me. I liked her until she told. I was a fan until she did. And now I can't watch her anymore. And I won't watch her. I don't like that. And it's not only me. It's other Black creators as well. Black female creators. You are fine. You good, girl. As long as you don't let people know the trash and mess you got going on offline, especially if it's behind a man. Anytime a Black woman has come online and she's had a messy romantic life, get her out of there. We see it with Winnie Parker. I saw it this summer with a creator named Talitha Jane. If you know about this story, you know about it. And I made a Patreon video about it this summer, and I said, for white women or for white creators, the way to get canceled is to use the N-word, right? Or to say you voted for Trump. For Black women, the way to get canceled is to have a messy ass romantic life, and I think the way people think about it is you're making people feel sorry for you and they don't want to. I had a lot of that comment too. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. You didn't have to. I'm just telling a story, but people don't like that. People do not like being complicit in what they feel is bird behavior. And just being connected to a man who makes you look stupid is bird behavior. And I liked how Laterras put it. He said, women are very protective of other women, and they look at it as you're letting down the tribe. We were rooting for you, and you took away that thing for us to root for. And I was like, he knows us. He got it. And as somebody who lived through it, as somebody who it happened to, who now shuts up and keeps her L's offline because of it, It is absolutely true. And so Tyler's so confused, and it's like, they don't like her because of you. As long as she ties herself to you, she removes herself from consideration of being somebody that people can uplift and put on a pedestal. Sorry, buddy. That's how it works in the community. And she's not the only one. And the next thing I want to say is that Tyler and Ashley both need to understand that the court of public opinion, like the jury's already out. I mean, not the jury's out, but the jury's already in. Like the ruling has been handed down. From Ashley's long rambling Instagram posts in the comment section of the Dear Future Wifey podcast, and then on her Instagram stories, she's still trying to appeal. Hey guys, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl who fell in love. And to see my love story torn apart like this, that's the game. That's how it's played. And, Tyler said, I didn't sign up for this. Nobody ever does. But this is what happens when you fall so far off the mark. When you living out whatever truth this is, in the process traumatizes an audience, this is what happens. And it's unfortunate and it's ugly, but it's what happens when you take your messy life and you platform it for us. I do wonder how Tyler and Ashley must have felt. I don't know if they knew that Laterras was going to be on with Jesse and Ricky after that episode aired. So I do wonder how they must have felt after that, because I know I'd be like, God damn, we thought we could trust them, and then now he talking about how he still think Tyler a liar. Man, especially Ashley, with Tyler being like, her intuition said she was safe. God really speaks to her. I don't know what's gonna happen with them. I doubt that she'll ever leave him. I hope he does the right thing and puts himself on child support. Like, just because you join the club of people who have kids with people that they cannot stand. You were the one running around throwing your sperm against the wall like it was noodles, and you were trying to check to see whether or not it was al dente. Okay, you were the one that was busting it wide open in threesomes. You were the one that thought you were grandfather time at 27 and could never have a baby. Again, people talk about me. People talked about me for feeling that way at 38. Boy, you had so much time, and you are a man on top of that. You could be 95 and still have a baby. Look at Robert De Niro, okay? The limit does not exist for men. Get it together. And you decided to put all this, you made this. You however messy Bri is, and I think she's pretty messy. However messy Bri is, however much you don't like her mama, and you might be valid in that. You still created these lives. And some of them did. That boy looked just like you. Just like you. You need to do the right thing financially. You don't just get to, I could never tolerate him completely signing away those parental rights. And I'm going to say this. Lauren and Cameron have been very open about Lauren's fertility issues. I don't know what's going on with Brett and Tiff. They've been married now about 2 years, and it doesn't look like they're in any rush to have kids. And I think Tiff is like maybe 2 years younger than me. I don't know if, I very much believe that Ashley is the boss in that relationship, and he not getting no babies in her without her permission. But what if it doesn't go the way they think it's going to go? And I'm not wishing that on anybody. I'm just being honest. Sometimes it is hard for people to get pregnant. Sometimes it is hard to follow that, whatever you want to do. What if, hopefully things work out. But, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I think for both of them, the recourse, if it was me, it would be to go dark on social media for a while. I don't think they're going to get the redemption that they want, that they so desperately want, that I know Ashley wants. I don't think Tyler cares, but I know Ashley wants it. Because you can see her writing in her essays. It's not coming. It's not coming. People don't, Tyler said they're going to forget. They're going to go on to the next thing. People still hate Micah to this day. They still will write in her comment section, you redeemed yourself, girl, but I still don't like you. I made a video at some point last year or sometime, and someone said, I hated you for many years. I guess I like this video. People don't always be forgetting. They just don't talk about it as much. It eventually moves away from top of mind. Even like Jackie, I know in the season with Chelsea and Jimmy Johnny and all them, she wrote under Chelsea's comments. She was like, girl, don't mind the haters. If you got haters, it means you're doing something right. And Chelsea wrote, girl, get out my comments, not you. I mean, if people hate you, they may not talk about it, but they don't really forget. And especially not nothing like this. This story traumatized the hell out of the Love is Blind audience, and specifically out of Black women in the Love is Blind audience who have had to deal almost disproportionately with absentee fathers and men who have no attachment to their offspring. We always want to talk about Black mothers and single mothers and, oh, look at these Black single mothers, don't nobody want them. And we never talk about the men that create them, right? This season was very traumatizing. I'm not going to talk about it anymore after this, but I did want to give my 2 cents on that interview because I felt like people were coming at Laterras wrong and saying he didn't take him to tack it just because he didn't hold him at gunpoint and rob him and then, tie his hands behind his back and make him jump up and down 17 times on a bed of nails until he drove down to hell himself, doesn't mean he didn't hold him accountable. He wanted to give him a safe space. He wanted to provide mentoring for him because he could tell that Tyler was a dummy. Okay, it might still be one. And as somebody who has made mistakes in his life, been a single father, first by circumstance, he made a baby and it didn't work out. And then by choice, he wanted to come to him as a father and say, you have a responsibility to these young people. I think we need to realize that not everybody plays the same purpose in everyone's life. You're going to have the story time with Ricky's and the Jesse Woos, and their job is to make sure as a man, you have pissed women off. Look what you have done. Look what you've done. And their job is also to hold it up to someone like Ashley and say, hey, girl, you want to be a part of our community? You want people to stand behind you? Check your man. Check him immediately. But then you have people like Laterras, whose job is to say, yes, I see all of that, but I need to mentor him in a different way because I don't just want to cast him out. I want to call him in as a man, as a father, and maybe not even for him, but for those children. And I think that both roles are important. So I don't think he did anything wrong with his interview. And I really liked his interview style. And I thought he was really funny throughout it. Anyway, those are my 2 cents with that. So just wanted to ramble a bit. And so there you go. And that is the end of this long ass video. And that is the end of me talking about this season. Oh my God. As always, thank you for watching.